have been here since 9 a.m. or since 7 a.m. How many of us? Show of hands. You guys are the heroes. Thank you for being here all this while. It's not easy. I know some of us would rather be in our beds. Thank you for coming. So I'll just go straight to this panel. We are supposed to talk about hurdles, challenges that businesses face. So right from the beginning, we talked about how to start your business from scratch. We've talked about mentorship. We've talked about the role of education. Now I want to talk about the nitty-gritty. Like you've started a business and you want to know the challenges, how to maneuver all these challenges that you face. And the guys I'm calling up now have been there. They've done that, so to speak. So I will be inviting them to come and give us their ideas, their perspective. The first person I will be introducing is, I like to think of her as a finance guru. She has over 20 years industry experience, if I'm not mistaken. And she runs accountinghub.ng, which is an online service shop that makes bookkeeping and tax very easy and affordable for businesses. Please join me in welcoming Mrs. Chioma Eze. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Thank you. I think yes, fine. The next person needs no introduction. He already climbed the stage earlier. And he corrected us that he's not the CEO. I was about to say that. I know he wasn't the CEO anyway. But he's a co-founder of Zoto, a mobile solutions platform, mobile recharge, data solutions, mobile money. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Oshone Ikazoboh. I hope I got the pronunciation right. Forgive me if I didn't. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. The next person is kind of needs an introduction. Not because he has done anything less than anybody that is going to climb this panel, but because he just doesn't put himself out there, he doesn't care about it. But he's doing wonderful stuff. One of the first online payment gateways in Nigeria was founded by him, and he's the current CTO of VokePay. Please join me in welcoming Adeleke Ojikutu. Thank you. Thank you for taking out time. Thank you very much. Thank you. The next person also needs no introduction. Everybody knows him. Who here doesn't know Payport? If you don't know Payport, raise your hand. Thank you. So I'm not going to do any introduction. I'm just going to call him to the stage. Mr. Eyo Bassey, the MD and CEO of Payport, one of the largest e-commerce platforms in Nigeria. And then the last person I'll be calling. Thank you very much. Thank you. Depending on which circles you are in, he might need an introduction and he might not need an introduction. But I'll introduce him anyway. I like to think of him as a serial entrepreneur. He has co-founded so many companies, and I always wonder how he does it. Please join me in welcoming Iyin Aboyeji. He's the co-founder of Flutterwave. Oh, you all know him. Oh, is it because of Mark Zuckerberg? Yeah, thanks for coming. All right, good. All right, wow, I have a high seat. So am I the chairman here? Okay. Wow. Okay, we'll start with Ms. Chioma. But first of all, I want to ask a question to the audience. I want to ask the audience a question. Okay, so how many of us here have been running a business for at least 2 years? Show of hands, please. At least 2 years. Okay. How many of you can come up now and if I ask you how much you made this last quarter, no, same quarter last year, and this quarter this year, the percentage of growth that you experienced? Can you come up here and come and tell me? Can anybody come up? Does anybody know that number? I'm not asking you to reveal how much you made, just the percentage. You know, if you made 1 naira this last year, and you made 5 naira, that's 400%. So I just want to give me that 400%. Nobody needs to know whether you made 1 naira or 5 naira. They just need the percentage. Nobody? Somebody's coming? Where? Okay.
50%.
50%. Okay, thank you. So that's good to know. I was kind of hoping nobody would be able to come forward, but that's good to know. We saw someone pitch the other time and he had issues struggling with his numbers. And if there's anybody on this panel that knows about numbers, it's her. She has had quite a career, and she's in the business of helping people track their numbers, right? So I wanted to know from you, based on your experience helping small businesses, how important, first of all, how important is it to know, to keep bookkeeping? How important is bookkeeping? How important is it to know your numbers? And what are some huge mistakes you find many small businesses making that will affect their businesses in the long run?
Good afternoon, everybody. I find it interesting every time I go to an event and we need to talk about business numbers. I think that business is essentially numbers. Why would anybody start business and somebody needs to tell you to keep numbers? That is the entire reason why you started business, to make money. So how can you measure that you are really making money? It's like sending a child to school and not coming back with a scorecard or a result sheet. So you have a child going to school term after term and doesn't come back with anything. That's how it looks like when you have a business and you can't tell how you're doing. So I find a lot of small businesses start out not knowing how well they're doing, which I think is one of the major reasons why businesses, number one, fail, and secondly, can't raise funding. No investor gives money when you don't have numbers.
I'm going to skip Mr. Oshone first of all, and go to Mr. Leke. So I find it very interesting. Like, if there's another person on this panel too that knows about numbers, I know they all do, but I'm rating them. Just sue me, judge me. He does. Why I'm saying so is he has run a business for over 5 years, if I'm not mistaken, BookPay, and being a tech business, you know, we hear a lot about funding, how you can scale without funding. But up till now, last time I checked, BookPay has never raised any money, any external funding. And they have a presence in the UK. They have a presence in India, if I'm not mistaken. They have actual Uganda. They have actual merchants that use BookPay to receive payments outside Nigeria, not just within Nigeria. How did you do it? And how can these people that are here listening to you do it too?
Thank you very much. The first thing we prioritize at BookPay is the team. We believe a lot in the team. We believe that if you have the right team, before you start, you must get that right. If you have the right team, even when the business is not doing well, what you need is a team to turn it around. If probably government regulations or act of God causes your vision to be unreachable, the right team can change the vision. But a wrong team will sink with the vision. They will continue in the same direction because they cannot really make things happen. Maybe they've only been able to run the vision conceived by somebody else. So the first thing we value is our team. We have a team that is very diversified. There is no duplication of skill in the management team. There is only one developer, one tech guy, one accounting guy, one legal guy, one administration guy. So the team is very well balanced. And the second is our numbers. We don't joke with our data and our numbers. We know exactly where money is coming from. The data we relate with or we use is not just the data we get from the web. Our accounting data, our internal data, our own analytics speak volume, and we take them seriously. So it's not so difficult for us if we know this is exactly where money is coming from. If our accounting figures can show that, then we know where to concentrate our branding, our effort, and everything. So with those two in place, it's not so difficult for us to be able to scale up.
Okay, thank you. I'll come back to you on the team issue. I want to go to Mr. Eyo Bassey. Another major challenge that I know that many small businesses face. You know, you've established this business. Now you want to get, you know your customer and all of that, but you want to get awareness. And marketing is a big challenge. And when I spoke with you 2 years ago, you mentioned marketing as a very serious challenge. But I feel like you finally figured it out with the whole Big Brother connection and all of that. But not everybody has that money, right, to sponsor something at that scale. So, judging from when you started, like when when I met you 2 years ago, or even before that till now, how do you balance, like, in the earlier stages when there's not enough money to market, how do you do that? And then even in the later stages where there's money and you stand at the risk of overspending, how do you balance? How do you manage it?
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, there's never always going to be money. So don't think that there's a stage that you're always going to have so much money, most especially to spend on intangibles like marketing. Marketing is not a product. You really can't say, okay, this is a shoe, I want to buy a marketing shoe. You go to market, and so marketing, when you spend your monies on marketing, is really not tangible products. Yeah, for Payport, with the Payport story, yeah, but marketing can really hurt your business. When we got into this space, of course, we did our findings and we saw that other market players were spending an average of 2 million naira every day on marketing. And that was ridiculous for us. And we looked at how can we scale our business, how can we close this gap without having to break the bank. So first thing we did with regards to marketing was we identified our customers. Who are our customers and where do they sit? So as soon as we were able to identify who our customers were, the next thing we tried to find out was where are they sitting? As in, where are they? We now found out that our customers are sitting in two main spaces, entertainment and sport. So if you discover that, okay, a lot of companies spend a whole lot on digital marketing, of course, and we said, okay. We tried not to go so much in that route because it was kind of also, we really couldn't place our hands on it. So what we did in Payport was when we found that out, we went after them. So, of course, people are just hearing about the Big Brother right now, but people don't know that Payport sponsored idols in this country. We sponsored idols. We've sponsored football awards, the NFL football awards in Kaduna. We've sponsored, of course, the other Big Brother before this, we've actually sponsored it. So we've been consistent after we identified our customers. When we found out where our customers are, we went after them. And of course, with the most recent one, with the issue of the Big Brother thing here that we did, of course, when the opportunity came up again, we went after them. And with this, we've been able to close the gap. We've been able to close the gap without having to spend 2 million. Imagine spending 2 million naira every day. And that's why the e-commerce space looked, of course, looked as if a lot of money was being expended. This is a space that investors' funds, over $450 million, has come into the Nigerian e-commerce space, and none of them is profitable. So our people said no. So once we're able to arrest that, we're able to go after our customers, and we're able to close the gap, and the numbers began to change for us. So basically, that's what we've done. Know your customers, know where they sit, and go after them.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ayo. I'll come back to Mr. Oshone. So, thank you. Marketing is just one facet of business development, and you currently run business development for Zoto. And by many rights, Zoto is a big company. But a lot of people that are here are running small businesses. And, okay, my question is twofold. First of all, how early should I hire a business developer? Especially if I'm a small business that is just starting. And second of all, when I can't afford, at the stage where I can't afford a business developer and I'm doing everything myself, what are some key things, some key actions I should take that would help me keep that business alive? Yes.
You answered the first question you asked me, you answered it with your second question. I mean, the founder and the CEO of a company is typically the first business developer in the business, so he has to have the vision to sell. Second question regarding at what point do you expand to get a team? I think it's something we preach at Zoto. I think every employee, which is what his name was saying, every employee is a salesperson and a business development person in the company, as far as I'm concerned. If everyone understands the vision So it doesn't matter if the person is your driver, because he can talk to people within his neighborhood and pitch your idea. It could be your cleaner, and this same attitude, they will talk to people in their environment and pitch your idea. So bottom line is, if you preach to your congregation, which is your staff in-house, you've already started creating business development people internally. So I think that's the best way to see it before you start thinking about whether you want to hire people after that.
Let me come to Iyin now before I come back to you. So all this stuff that everything I've talked about, marketing, business development, funding, all that stuff, very good, figuring it out. But there's one, in my time interviewing a lot of founders, there's this common theme or trend I see. Some of them, they will tell you, do not hold on too much to an idea. There's a way they put it. They say you should know when to give up or when to pivot or something like that. Why I'm asking you this question is, you've been through so many companies, like in such a short space of time. How does someone know when something is not working and they have to pivot, or they have to move on, or whether you're moving on because you feel your job there is done and you want to move on to bigger things, or you're moving on because you need to pivot or whatever? How do you figure that out? When is the right time?
Sure. Thanks a lot for that question. So let me paraphrase. I guess the question is, how do you know as an entrepreneur when to move on from an idea or move to another idea? And I think it's ultimately about figuring out, one, your purpose and what you're really good at. So for me, I haven't actually been through that many companies, at least compared to other people I know. I've done 4 companies. So I did Bookneto, I did Fora, I did Andela, and now I'm doing Flutterwave. And I think for me, it always boils down to identifying, first of all, what I want to do, what I'm trying to build for the long term. And then second of all, figuring out what I'm really good at. And then the last one is being very sensitive to opportunities and understanding that opportunities are important, and that you have to think about the right opportunity. So to boil that down to like a practical example, at the time we're starting Andela, I was still working on Fora, but I quickly figured out that, first of all, I'm very data-driven in the way I build businesses. So when I see something is not working, it's very obvious to me. And so I immediately just try and figure out what is the market telling me about what we should really be building, and then pivot to that idea. So we started out Fora trying to help universities build distance learning platforms. Nigerian universities, the regulation was not ready. It still isn't for that at the time. To set up a distance learning center in a university campus in Nigeria, the NUC had said you had to have 100 computers in your campus. And there weren't many universities with 100 computers. And where they weren't very open to private companies coming in and helping them to build out curriculum or build out a platform. So there was no market there. And so we pivoted to start selling ready-made international business degrees, because at the time, lots of people wanted foreign degrees, but they didn't necessarily want to get out of a job to get those degrees. And so we were the only ones offering. We kind of started the whole thing around University of Liverpool, and right now it's really popular, but back then it wasn't as popular. And then we started doing that. Then we moved on to start putting loans, education loans into that. And then we quickly realized, the market was getting saturated. And because I was attuned to opportunities while I was in the US, I was conversing with Jeremy Johnson, who became my co-founder in Andela. And I think at that time, the immigration saga had just happened. So there was like this whole group of 600,000 young people who crammed into a stadium to write exams. And that was huge. Like, we saw that opportunity that young people were looking for jobs. And at the same time, he was also experiencing a shortage in software development talent, because there were so many software companies, but not enough engineers. So there was an opportunity there. And we figured, okay, well, let's try something out, see if we can fill that gap. And then we did. And that was how Andela was born. So ultimately, for me, it's always been about what I want to do with my life is I want to build the future of the continent. and that means building up people, enabling platforms that support people to reach their full potential, and ultimately being able to provide, be able to grow enough influence to be able to influence policy or politics around how all these things happen. But before you do that, you kind of have to go through all those steps. And so what I do, what I try to do is whenever I see an opportunity to help people, whenever I see an opportunity to provide a platform for people to really reach their true potential, I'm always first in line for those type of opportunities. So I think that's really what it boils down to. At the end of the day, it's really also, a huge part of it is also, some people might call it luck. I just call it grace of God, right? And you always have to be prayerful and always thinking about it. And I think the most important thing that I've learned over my career is that, and my family always says this, like, I really don't care a lot about sunk cost. So the one thing that prevents most people from moving on to a new opportunity or recognizing an opportunity is that they think about all the time and effort that they've put into what they're currently doing. And they're like, I can't just abandon all of that and move on to the next thing or think about the next thing. But over time, I've just learned that, all that time, first of all, is never lost because you were learning something while you were doing whatever you were doing. And so if it's not working, you should be completely fine with junking it, taking all the experiences and everything that you've learned and then pouring that into a new endeavor. And what I've always found is that actually, if you think about entrepreneurship as a career path, I've always been able to hit the same milestones twice as fast on the next project. So if I think about my journey with, Booknedo took 3 years of slog to even recognize that we're doing things wrong and this was a company that wouldn't really scale. Fora took a year and a half. Andela took 2 years for me to realize I was no longer the right person to be there, right? And that there were other things I could maximize my time and effort doing. Flutterwave has taken 1 year to reach the same level of scale that Andela was at in 2.5 years. So I think ultimately once you learn that, it's kind of like a career. You're learning things as you go along. It feels like you're starting several different companies and other people might be like, this guy can't stick to one thing. But I think once you understand that it's a journey and you're learning things as you go along, you become a lot less reluctant or a lot more willing to, put certain things aside and think about sunk costs in less of a more do or die manner than people normally would.
Okay, let me come back to Ms. Chioma. So you've helped a lot of businesses grow. And then you yourself had some experience in paid employment before you decided to do this. How, for many of the people here who may not be entrepreneurs, for example, and they are thinking about, not just thinking about starting, but they want to know what are the key things from a financial standpoint that they should look at, like Iyin has talked about data, before they make that move. And how do you decide to take action on those numbers? Like, I don't know if my question is clear. Yeah.
So my understanding is a lot of people here are in career and we like to move to entrepreneurship. Did I get that? Okay, so I'll just tell my story. I spent 11 years in career. I started in PwC, so I was a trained accountant. And I'm a big fan of people working first in career before they start businesses. I've had to interview a lot of young people and somebody comes and say, yeah. I say at an interview, I don't recruit people that say, yeah. So I think that people need to go to work somewhere, learn how to write emails, learn how not to say yeah, learn, just submit to some leadership before you come and then say, I'm ready to do business. But that aside, his question is, how did I transit from paid career to running a business? So it was simple. Seated in this same hall, Audu Mekori was sitting somewhere here, and I was sitting where you are sitting. And there was a program titled Beyond the Hustle. And I attended it with my colleague, Judith. And he was saying something about all of you are doing business, but you're all hustling. As long you can't grow that into an empire if you don't start putting some formal structures to it. And I said, Judith, he's talking to me. Let's go and try something. And then all my friends know that I like to be an accountant. I love mathematics. I love to be an accountant. I love numbers. That's all I know, accounting. I've never read a novel in my life. I only read accounting books. So I said, okay, let's try this accounting thing. And so, when he asked the question about marketing, it looked like he was talking to me because I market to my friends and family. If I can't convince my husband, my cousin, my auntie to do accounting for her business, how then can I convince you? So I started from the people around me. In the office, there was Tommy who was working with me. She had set up an investment firm with her friends. Tommy, let me do TIN registration for you. It's just 5K. It wasn't about the money. I needed to start small. So I did it for Tommy. I came to FIRS office down the road. I filed it. I gave 5K. She paid it into my account. I was excited. And then I started telling another friend. And then I got a voice on social media. I started talking about accounting for small businesses. I started to talk about it. And then I started to set personal targets for myself. Oh, my salary is X. If I can make X from doing business while I'm still working, then I'll resign. And so I started in September 2015. First client, I was doing accounting. Then I went to where I worked before in aviation logistics, and I was trying to recruit one of my former staff, Chinyere, who was earning 15K. It took me 1 month to convince her that I had a vision. Can you imagine? 15K. I said, at a point I called her, I said, you know what, Chinyere, I work somewhere that I'm paid more than 500K. You know what, I can pay your salary. Let me pay you 25, or you resign and come. That was the day she agreed to join me. So, so people can't even believe in your vision. It's that Chinyere who earns 15K couldn't believe in it. Talk more of an investor. So I needed to, prove to myself that I had something going. So that's Aldo Mekori's words, go beyond the hustle. Stop taking this as a hustle. Then I registered the business. And then I started telling friends, I do accounting for small businesses. I come to church, I talk about it, I write on Facebook. One person contacts me, I do it, I do for another. And in 3 months, I had gotten my same salary that I was earning. And 18th of December 2015, I resigned. Because I had gotten exactly my salary. So what I say to people in career, I don't think you should be in a hurry to quit. Because when you leave career to entrepreneurship, the pressure to make money is so huge that if you don't make it, the passion begins to dwindle. So for me, I stayed in career and then I made enough, at least my salary. Yes, it doesn't come the same way the salaries come because the customers would owe you. I don't know if you understand. Customers owe you. It's not the same way salary comes in one chunk. But at least I stayed through to see that I could get that kind of money. At least I didn't reduce my buying power. I still had that same money. And then I resigned and then started business. Again, for me, something that everybody who's been on this stage says, and I do it very practically, I'm an extremely scientific person. I believe that the world is controlled by laws. Everything I do, I respect a law. If I want to pass exam, the law is read. I don't go to the exam hall and hope that area of concentration will come out. So I feel that there are laws to everything. There are laws to running a successful business. The first of it is to articulate your idea on paper. And I never took that for granted. I have volumes of paper written of the vision of Accounting Hub that I'm playing out today. So if you're sitting anywhere in this hall and you think you have an idea, are you writing? What kind of people you want to work for you? How do you want to make money? What are the risks in that business? How much money do you need to start with? So I wonder when people come up here and they say, how much do you need to start? And they are not sure. I can sing my business to you. I have all my documents written. I'm only playing a video of what I wrote. And it's been awesome. So stop paying people to write business plans. Write it in Igbo, in Hausa, in Yoruba. Write it. Google it. Format of a business plan. We'll just ask basic questions. Answer as you know it. In 3 lines, in 5 lines, answer it. That mere ability of writing my business on paper was like I was connecting it to my God. And this is me today. In 1.5 years, an amazing business. I hope that somebody here is able to go beyond the hustle today.
Mr. Oshone, so there's a popular saying that goes, ideas are a dime a dozen. I'll say a kobo a dozen in Nigerian parlance. Execution is key. Now, the Zoto idea, for example, is not a new idea necessarily. Like, there are many mobile payment solutions, many mobile recharge solutions in Nigeria. But, so how do you, first of all, how do you decide that this idea you're working on makes sense, is worth it? And then, when you are even in a space where there are so many players, how do you stand yourself out? What are some key things that you can do to stand yourself out from the other competition?
I think we were unique though when we came in. I think at the time we came in 2 years ago, not even InterSwitch was doing tokenization of cards. So we were the first to go out with tokenization, which is basically the ability to save your card and not have to every time go to your wallet and look for your bank card and put it into an account. I always say this to people. Your customers are the people. You need to know what they want, yeah? So how do you stand out? The customers will tell you what you need to stand out. That's what I always say. If your business is customer-centric, yeah? And our business has to be, we're dealing with numbers, people. We do surveys all the time, trying to find out from our customers, what exactly do you want? What is missing from your day-to-day activity? So that's how, for example, we came up with tokenization, which is basically, to make your payments faster. So I think that's basically it. We just listen to our customers. Our niche here, listening to our customers.
You find your niche, understand your customers, and listen to them. Okay. Mr. Leke, so you were saying something about the team the other time. I wanted to go around and come back to you. I've asked you this before, but for the benefit of others, you will have quite a number of co-founders. Aside you, 4 other co-founders. I don't know if you've added another one since the last time we met. Okay. And you made a point of the fact that 2 heads are better than one. You should get people who are strong in every area and all of that. What I want to know is and what I find interesting is that it's not like you started off with the co-founders in the beginning. You started off and then you realized, oh, okay, I need co-founders. Okay, then you went to find these people and all of that. So how does someone who is starting out and it gets to the point where he feels, okay, I need a co-founder? What are some things you should look out for? How do you know that, okay, how do you decide that this person that I'm bringing on will add value and is it's valuable for the company?
Okay, thank you. First and foremost, Vokpay was not my first tech business. It's not even the second, I hope you know. So over time, I've been in business and I've had a couple of successful businesses, so I know exactly what I need. There are some things I have to pay professionals to do. But at the scale, or the size of our business does not allow us to be able to retain a lot of them full-time. So we have consultants, and because of that, we can't afford to pay them full-time, and because of that, we are missing out on a lot of things. I know exactly what I want. I know what I'm getting from the consultants. And with several other businesses, I've been able to demonstrate profitability. Even with the ones questions where I wanted the co-founders, I've been able to demonstrate profitability. So if I could identify what I wanted, I did not really need much to convince them. They should be the one even begging to jump on board. So the only challenge was identify what I really need. So I decided I was going to go for the best I could find. And I would give them the offer if there is need to negotiate. So some of my founders had to resign. Some of them had to relocate to Nigeria. Some of my co-founders. But I definitely, you have people, you have friends, there's this guy that is probably an accountant and is working in a very big place. There's this guy is doing well in this area. So I just identified the people that I really needed to grow the company and contacted them. We came together, tried to negotiate, reach a couple of meetings after, but I already knew what I wanted. It's just that at the rate I'm going, I might have to remain at this point for long if I decide to own 100% of everything.
So if I'm very clear, you're saying people should know what they want before they go searching for co-founders.
If you see what you want in the person. How will you identify it if you don't already know what you want? So I knew exactly what I wanted. I wanted somebody good in these areas. I already knew where my strength lies. I am a developer, I'm a tech person, I'm an engineer. So I don't need that. The things I don't have are the things I need, and I went out for them.
Okay, I want to go to Mr. Iyin first before I come back to Eyo Bassey. You're the only person on this panel that has some sort of legal background, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Okay, and that's one that's one area that a lot of people overlook. So, and not just because you have a background in legal, you've also done, like, you founded so many companies. First of all, first question is, okay, that question already has an answer, but let me just ask it. How soon should I get legal help when I'm starting my business? And second of all, what are some common pitfalls in your experience, legal pitfalls that entrepreneurs face that they should know about before they venture into business?
Sure. So I'd say, I think the one thing you have to understand, especially in Nigeria, is that the moment you need any of the things that you put down on paper in a contract, just know you've lost. And so the point I'm trying to make there is that businesses are ultimately built on trust. So if you feel like you're building a business with somebody and you need to have a lot of legal help, beyond just recording what has already been agreed and what people have a commitment to actually fulfilling because they've made a promise, then ultimately, like, you shouldn't be in that partnership. So for me, it's always a red flag for me once I have to pull out my legal, I don't like using it. But I think ultimately, how early should you legalize what you're building? I think the first thing is really, I personally think you should probably start before you legalize. Lawyers will tell me I'm wrong, for good reason. And the reason why I say that is because the legal infrastructure that's required to put together a company is significant, right? Like at least you're going to spend minimum of 150K incorporating even the smallest business, right? And I don't know whether that should take precedent over what you're building. So what I would say is the first thing you should keep in mind is just make sure you work with people you can trust. Don't get wowed by, background or work with strangers. It's much better for you to be a solo founder than to work with somebody who doesn't have integrity. Because ultimately, if you have to ever bring out this contract that you've signed to, you've lost. But then the moment when you feel like you've got into an idea that has a little bit of traction and that you can work with, the first thing you should do is you should probably sign something called a CIPA. So that's a confidentiality and intellectual property agreement. So even before you incorporate, you should have a clear idea that, look, we're working together on this thing. You need to keep it, the inner workings of this thing between us, and the intellectual property belongs to this entity that we've not yet created. The beauty of that is that it's just a contract, and there are many great templates for it online. If you email me, I can always send you one. And it's very simple. It doesn't require too much grammar. It's typically valid in most jurisdictions, and you're fine. And then with that alone, you can start working on the business up until the point in time when you feel like you're ready to actually get a business name. Actually, the common pitfall that most startups make is to over-legalize before you're ready, right? So I'm sure a lot of people will be like, well, you have to sign NDA, you have to sign this, you have to sign that. And good people, like me, for example, if you come to me with a business idea and tell me to sign an NDA, that's the end of our conversation, right? And it's not because I will steal your idea. I have no interest in stealing your idea. But it's just because, for me, it means you don't trust me enough to do business with me. And I don't have the bandwidth to watch my back. You know what I mean? So from that point in time, it's just like there's no point of having a conversation. I'll just dodge you, right? And so a lot of startups, actually, a lot of people miss out on great opportunities because they've gone to some seminar somewhere and some lawyer has told them to lawyer up. They kind of focus all their energy putting together all these fanciful agreements when there's really no substance behind what they're building. So actually, my own advice to startups is be very focused on creating some kind of value, but at the same time, reduce your downside by working with people you trust.
Please, you can start getting your questions ready while I ask Mr. Eyo Bassey final question. You made an interesting comment. I like going back to that interview 2 years ago. You said there's enough space. You said, first of all, that all the big e-commerce companies in Nigeria cannot handle, is it the demand? I don't know if that's the right word.
Yep.
You said there's enough space for even at least 15.
Yep.
Now, the interesting thing is that everybody is in e-commerce. That's the interesting thing. Like, if you do like a poll here now of people that are running online businesses, most of them are e-commerce. So I want to ask you a question now. Those guys that are sitting down here that are running e-commerce platforms, how did they get to be among those big 15?
Okay. How do they get to be among the big 15 I was talking about, right? Okay. First of all, 2 years ago we had the interview, and I said yes, that there's still enough space to take up to 15 more big e-commerce companies, and then the big players then can have the capacity to serve Nigerians. Fast forward 2 years later, I still go back to say the same thing. And I will increase that numbers now that the country, Nigeria, can still take 20 more e-commerce companies. You get me now? The size of the big players right now. Simple. We've had more internet penetration. Now, because of the complexities of how e-commerce is run in our country or in Nigeria, this has made it important. You really don't know until you get into the business what it takes to make one delivery, one successful delivery. And right now we have internet penetration over 90 million. The average number says 35 million people daily. Within the course of the week, 90 million people have had access to the internet. Take 10% of that. That's 9 million people. Now, those 90 million people that have had access to the internet during the course of the week, they are your potential, or they are our potential customers. Take 10% of that. That's 9 million people. Do you know what it means for 9 million people to make order? And maybe each of them make a minimum order of 2 or 3 products. That means you're talking about 18 million products to deliver. Now, in a system or in a country where we don't have automated address verification system. Now, I always speak for PayPort. PayPort right now, our capacity, we cannot handle more than 5,000 orders a day. Right now. More than 5,000 orders a day is a problem. It's going to be a punishment. It's going to be a cost upon us. And with our business model, we say that if we average 1,000 orders a day, then we ought to be profitable. Just imagine 1,000 people get into ShopRite every day, and ShopRite comes and tells you at the end of the year they're not profitable. So we are very empirical with our numbers, and we look at it and then we analyze it from time to time. So if we go back and say, for instance, PayPal can't do more than 5,000, for instance, during the Big Brother, if Big Brother was to go on for 6 months, probably we will break as a company. Because 2 weeks into the Big Brother event, we had a peep into the future. We had to start running shifts. We were running shifts. We couldn't meet up. So at a point, to be very candid, we were praying that, can this show just end well? That's the truth. I have some of my colleagues here, and say, okay, the show is going to end, and we're excited. And of course, the ripples effect of the show ending, even after the show ended, 3 weeks later, we still couldn't meet up with that surge. So I'll go back to say, yes, the people sitting down here, we still welcome you guys. Some people are doing some form of e-commerce every day. Just choose your space. Not everyone will be able to play as large as, of course, you're selling everything. I hear some people trying to get into fashion. Let me give you guys an expo. Number 1 top selling product, e-commerce in Nigeria is fashion. Where you can have your top margins is fashion. Some people go into electronics and gadgets. They ask people, why don't you sell gadgets and electronics? That's why some of them are not profitable. Everybody here knows the cost of this phone. So how much margin am I going to put on it? Everybody knows the cost of a HP laptop. How much margins are you going to put on it? But you know what? The cost of this jacket, I can get my jacket from Vietnam for $10, and I can decide to sell it for $50. You can find it. Do you understand what I'm talking about now? So, now, that's what has killed e-commerce in Nigeria, because people want to come and copy. And that's why you see a business like Payport, even in recession, we're getting involved in big events like that. Because we clearly understood our numbers. We analyzed it. When you came 2 years ago to our office, we were very, very empirical about it. And now we've even increased the numbers, no more 15 more companies. The space can still take 20 more companies. I've just read out numbers to you. 9 million. And Payport can only do 5,000 with our current capacity. Okay, we push ourselves, we're able to do 10,000. Do you know what it means to do 10,000 deliveries every day? That means today you deliver to 10,000 people. Tomorrow morning you wake up, you deliver to 10,000 people. What's going to do that? Do you understand me? So guys, I challenge you people, please come to the space. It's easy entry, easy exit, to be candid, if you want to copy. That's it, easy entry, easy exit. If you want to copy, you want to come and say, okay, you want to come and be like the other players, you have billboards. One billboard costs 15 million to keep it for the cheapest on this our road here. 15 million. I'm telling you, the one you see at the airport that Payport puts costs at least 2 million every month. So you choose. So you come into the space and you want to play that way, it's different. You can market even on your WhatsApp. Let me tell you guys, if you come e-commerce, what are you doing? You are selling hair, right? Stick to it. By the time you push your image out and all that, before you know what is happening, you are getting 10, 15 orders a day that you can meet and you can deliver. Then you begin to grow. Not that you come and say, okay, I want to sponsor Big Brother. And let me tell you, just to set the record straight with Big Brother. Big Brother was negotiated for 2 years. We started paying for it before even the show. They canceled twice on us. So you plan ahead of time in terms of your marketing, because that's what kills a whole lot of e-commerce companies. So I'm going to encourage people that are in e-commerce space, come. Make sure you are very, very definite of what you are trying to address, the needs you are trying to meet, and be sure. By the way, e-commerce, just to say it again, I thought you guys were going to ask, cash on delivery. Stop it.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Payport is the first e-commerce company to boldly confront cash on delivery. You know, you came and we gave you guys a date, Techpoint, when we're going to end cash on delivery. How can you run a business that at the end of the day, you know, our accounting lady was saying something. How do you run a business at the end of the day, you don't know how much you made? Cash on delivery, how much, sir? You know, these ones are going to Calabar. We don't know if they will be returned, they will be rejected. How do you run a business on guesswork? And you want to be profitable? So we gave ourselves a timeline for December 2016 that we're going to end cash on delivery. We couldn't. As a business, even when you set targets and you can't, doesn't mean that you shouldn't pursue it. But by March 2017, we ended cash on delivery on Payport. And it didn't affect our numbers in any way. Now, I can call accounts. How much did we make today? And they will say, sir, we made 1 naira. And that 1 naira, I check in the bank, the money is there. So, you know, this is always a case I'm always passionate about. Let's just end it here. And I encourage you guys come in. But some things you shouldn't try. Don't try cash on delivery. You will see the orders. Guess what? Then when we try cash on delivery, you can see 5,000 orders. When you see 5,000 orders, at the end of the day, 700 is fulfilled. What happened to 4,300 orders? Now, do you know what we get? We get 2,000 orders. And for some reason or the other, we are sure that that 1,800 are paid for. We can grow. We can talk to investors. That's why, Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Let's just
Thank
have the
you.
questions.
Thank you. We're
Questions,
pushing it
please.
over for Q&A. Please, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for everybody on the panel. Man, Mr. Bassey, Eyo. Cash on delivery is a killer. It's a destiny destroyer. And please, all of you must help us destroy cash on delivery. All right? So we're taking just one question for this session. No, time is not our friend. I'm sorry. Okay, come on, BMC now.
So let's take 4 questions, please.
Okay.
All right, thank you. My name
I
is
want to make it 3. 3, because you said 4. Another person walked in. There are 5 now. So let's make it 3, please. I don't know how you're going to do it, please. Let's do it quickly. I'm an MC and I'm supposed to deliver this event by 3:30. 3 people, please.
All right, my name is Oluwaseun. My question goes to Inioluwa. I actually sent this question to you on LinkedIn, but I'm here to get your response. I read an article where you talked about how you moved from Flora to talking to Jeremy, and he left to you, he came to Andela, and then you're here. In the article, you talked about how hard it is to register a business in Nigeria, and then you gave reasons why Andela was not registered in Nigeria. My question was, okay, I know to register my own company, it took like 30 days.
30 seconds, sir.
It won't take you just because of that to leave Nigeria and go to the US. So I want you to give us the real challenges you face and why you decided it's not best registering in Nigeria but registering elsewhere. It will help us also not to leave Nigeria also anyway, but to know the challenges we will face
Thank
and
you so much.
how to work on it.
Thank you so much. 2 questions more. Let me, just 2 questions, so I took their questions. Number 1, somebody wanted to ask about influencer marketing and what you're taking that. Secondly, the other person said, you said more people can still come into the space, but he thinks, because it's a perception, that investors are skeptical about the Nigerian e-commerce market because 450 million USD has been plowed in already. So why is it that them can't get investors bringing into the system? But I said it's just a perception. Your take on that is really important. I'll just take more. If you can answer questions like this, we can take 10 questions.
Good day, sir. I'm Shion. I want to ask a question about the fintech industry. Like you operate Flutterwave now. Is there a regulated amount required from the CBN to run the fintech industry, like microfinance and other bank stores?
Okay. Regulatory amount by the CBN to run finance industry.
Okay, my name is Swashi. My question goes to Iyin. When you pivot to another company, and how do you know that can you still go back when the time is right? And how do you know what time to go back?
Okay, how do you know what time to go back? Thank you so much. Answers?
Great. I think for the first one, I just want to correct a perception. What I said was it's very hard to scale a business in Nigeria. I didn't say it was very hard to register a business in Nigeria. It's not easy, but it's not the most difficult thing. And Andela, all my companies are registered in Nigeria. But typically what I do is I typically register a parent abroad and then work with a subsidiary in Nigeria. And the primary reason is because investing in Nigeria is still fraught with plenty of risks. From the point of view of investors, if there is any issues with the business, it might be difficult for them to seek redress in Nigerian courts. They would rather, work with courts abroad. Second of all, it's very tough to bring in foreign capital or take out foreign capital. It's not an open foreign capital exchange system. So, I mean, these are constraints that really come at you once you're getting closer and closer to kind of like a business that's worth $10 million, $40 million, $50 million, $100 million. When you start getting to that scale, those are when the barriers really become huge and they limit the pool of capital and where you can raise it from. Now, the truth of the matter is, at that point, you will always find really great lawyers and investors who are very interested in your business will work with you to solve those problems. But for me, because I've had that background and experience, I spent a lot of time in venture capital before I started businesses. So I understand the constraints. So naturally, I'm trying to mitigate them far into the future because it's a lot cheaper to fix those problems on the onset than it is to solve them later down the line. So that's for the business registration point of view. The other questions were about fintech. Is there a regulated amount for fintech? There are. There's, like, depending on what kind of other financial institution or other payment player you want to be, the CBN has license regimen. Flutterwave, for example, is a licensed PSSP, right? Payment Solution Service Provider. It meant we had to have $100 million naira in our bank account to even start. If you want to become a financial institution, you have to have a minimum of 25 billion naira, I believe, or 40 billion naira, 25 billion in your bank account to even start. So there's definitely a lot of those things, and they're there really for the safety of the general public, because things happen, mistakes happen, anything can happen. So they need to know that you have the financial capacity to ensure everybody is made whole. The last question was about the how do you come back to an idea? I think it really depends on what you've learned from that idea. There's no business I've started where I didn't see an opportunity later down the road to come back to it. But what I typically do is, rather than spend my time going back to an idea, where I saw some problems and I decided, maybe now is not the right time, what I do is I either choose one of make a very long-term investment in solving that problem down the line, or I find another young person who's trying to do the same thing and help them avoid the same mistakes that I made. So, I mean, if you think through, for example, when I was doing Fora, the initial idea didn't work out. I've been working very closely with a group of folks to actually do a physical university at some point in the future. It's probably like a 15, 20-year project, but we'll save up every day and we'll keep paying the fees, right? One day we'll finish paying and then we'll start. And the idea would be that it will be a launch pad for other virtual universities. But I think that's the way you look at it. Like, you think about, what have I learned from this experience? And very honestly, analyze why the idea you started with didn't really work. And then you can always come back to it down the line with a much more improved approach. I think for me, even in between startups, what I learned from Fora basically helped me avoid, because Andela could very much be a university, but I was very adamant about avoiding anything that had to do with regulation and education. And typically that's actually my stance when it even comes to companies I fund. I tend to avoid funding regulated education companies because I just find that the Nigerian curriculum and system it's actually harmful to the education system. And if you actually avoided dealing with, having to deal with any of the regulated bodies, you would probably make more impact when it comes to how much you impact in the child. But that's where it is now. I'm sure it will improve over time.
Thank you.
Okay. Someone asked about influencers, the role of influencers in marketing, right? Very, very important. It's one of your cheapest source. People, we used it a lot, and because we can afford it. As a startup, you can afford it. But something I will tell you about influencers, because also in our model, making sure that we monitor everything, the impact of everything. Every influencer we engage, we monitor them. Now, there's a tool that's called ClickMeter. PayPal uses ClickMeter. So when we engage you as an influencer, we get a ClickMeter link, URL, and we give to that influencer. So we are able to measure the impact of that influencer. I can tell you for free, the biggest influencer in Nigeria is Linda Ikeji. Because based on the reports we've gotten from ClickMeter. Now, and you can get influencers for as low as 5,000 naira. It's very easy, very cheap. You can get as high as 50,000. PayPal doesn't pay more than 50,000 naira for any influencer. So the role of influencers in marketing, very, very, very important. I will advise people to go for it. Get the right influencers at the right space. Now, perception, okay, we can't take more than, as in no more space because investors don't want to come in. Let me tell you guys something. 4 days ago, people still get an email from people that have investors' funds over $400 million. They've been on us. We told them to give us until after the Big Brother. 3 days ago, they still sent us the email. So if you come to the e-commerce space and you are doing it right, money will still come looking for you. Are you with me now? So with regards to PayPal, the business model was simple. We knew what we wanted and we went after it. People are still ready to throw money in the space. You get now, we still have the MR group in Dubai. telling us that, oh, they can still give us over $100 million. That's always been on the table up till today. So even though we have $450 million investment into the Nigerian e-commerce space, doesn't mean that investors are wary of putting their monies in. Investor will be ready to put money in an e-commerce business that tells them that I'm no more doing cash on delivery and I've been able to gain traction. You get e-commerce investors ready to put money in your business to say, okay, you know what? I'm keeping my business structure very lean. You get investors who want to put monies in a business that have been able to show growth, and you have a team that is dedicated to work. So don't get discouraged that $450 million already in the space, investors don't want to come. I can tell you for free that that's our own story. We've never wanted to build. We built the first pitch deck we built 3 years ago, but we've now been forced because they are now putting huge pressure on us, and we have to go back revisiting our pitch deck. So investors, they still want to put money in the space. So we'll still welcome you guys. Come. Thank you.
Okay, Chioma has something to say, say about accounting and education.
Okay.
Yes, so a lot of talk today has been around, do we have a tech ecosystem? No, we don't. Yes, we do. But basically, all of that has been because education is questionable. And we have also pointed out today that the government is not going to do everything for us. As entrepreneurs, as business owners, we can do our little bit. So in Accounting Hub, we're starting to do our little bit in education. We realize that businesses are looking for good accountants are looking for jobs. What's the gap in between? It means that what they teach us in school is different from accounting in the workplace. So to bridge that gap, we're introducing something we call tech accounting. And we're going to start with Mommy Cecilia Ibru's school. I will go to the school and I will teach students to do accounting with technology. So we're blending the accounting they teach us in school, debit and credit, with how does it really happen in the workplace. When we launched Accounting Hub, there were 9,000 accounting firms. We needed to stand out. And so we launched Tech Accounting, an amazing blend of technology and accounting. And that's what we're going to take back to our schools and teach them. This is the accounting of the future. So if you have a school or you know someone who owns a school, the vision is that we can do 2 schools every month. Please go on the Accounting Hub website and fill out a contact form. Tell us what school, from secondary to university, we would only be able to help. Please, and let's start teaching tech and accounting.
Thank you so much. Really, really very important. I think it's time to wrap up things because we need to call Dewale in. Well, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you. Let's come on stage, Wale, and have a group photo with them. Let's put our hands together for them once again.